Hello YouTube! We're on Real Programming channel. I'm its host. My name is Andrei. Greet you. Welcome. This is our 23 lesson. We will talk about HTML and JavaScript, and topic we will talk about how we can add in this keyword in JavaScript. Adding this keyword. Let's add this each place we specify a property so that we are telling JavaScript we want the property in this object. Let's look on Sublime Text. And don't forget, remember, please, you will find all the code and materials of this lesson under this video in the description, link to Google Drive. Okay, this is our code. Here we added for this keyword. Before every property to signify, we want the movie one object references. A test drive with this. Go ahead and type in the code above and also add the text get next showing function to your movie 2 object. Just copy and paste it in. Then make the changes below to your previous test code. After that, give it a spin. Here is what we got. Note that we are calling the get next showing on the object. Makes more sense, doesn't it? It seems like we are duplicating code with all copying and pasting of the get next showing method. Isn't there a better way? Good eye. You have a great instincts if you recognize that we are duplicating code when we copy get next showing into more than one movie object. One of the aims of object-oriented programming is to maximize code reuse. Here we not reuse any code. In fact, we are creating every object as an on one of and our movie objects. Just happen to be the same by convention and copying and pasting. Not only is that a waste if it can be error prone. There is much better way to do this using a constructor. What a constructor? It's just a special function we're going to write that can create objects for us and make them all the same. Think of it like a little factory that takes the property values you want to see in your object and then hands you back a nice new object with all the right properties and methods. Let's create a constructor. Now, how to create a constructor? Let's make a constructor for dogs. We already know what we want our dog objects to look like. Then they have name, breed and weight properties, and they have bark methods. So what our constructor needs to do is take the property, values, parameters, and hand us back to dog. Objects already to bark. Here the code. A constructor function looks a lot like a regular function, but by convention we give the name of the function a capital letter. The parameters of the constructor takes values for the property we want our object to have. Here we are initializing the properties of the object to the values that we pasted to the constructor. We can include the bark method. In the objects, we are constructing by initializing the bark property to a function value, just like we've been doing. We need to use this weight and this name in the method to refer to the property in the object, just as we have before. Notice how the syntax is before. Syntax differs from object syntax. These are statements, so we need to end each one with dot with commas, just like we normally do in a function. And though the property names and parameters names don't have to be the same, but they often are gained by conversion. So let's walk through this again to make sure we got it. Doc is a constructor function and it takes a lot of arguments, which is just happen to be the initial values for properties. We want name, breed and weight. Once it has those values, it assigns properties using this keyword. It also defines our break method. The result of all this, the doc constructor returns a new object. Let's see how to actually use the constructor. Don't worry about building all those objects yourself. We'll construct them for you. Now, let's use our constructor. Okay. Now that we've got our factory built, we can use it to create some docs. There is only one thing we haven't told you, which is that you need to call a constructor function in a special way by putting the keyword new before the call. Here is some example. To create a doc, we use the new keyword with the constructor and then call it just like any function. Once we've got the object, we can call their bark methods to make each doc bark. We are creating 3 different doc objects by passing in different arguments to customize each doc. Let's review what's going on here one more time. We're creating 3 different doc objects, each with its own properties, using the new keyword with the doc constructor that we created. That constructor returns a doc object customized with the arguments we passed in. Next, we call the bark method on each one. Notice that we're sharing the same bark method across all docs, and when each doc barks, this points to the doc object that made the call. So if you call the bark method on feeder, then in the bark method this is set the feeder objects. Let's look a little closer at how that happens. How does this really work? Anytime we put this in the code of method, it will be interpreted as a reference to the object the method was called on. So if we call feeder bark, then this is going to reference feeder, or if we call it on our doc object tiny, then this is going to reference tiny with that method call. How does this know which object is representing? Let's see. 1. Let's say we got a doc object assigned to feeder. Here's our new doc objects all instantiated with the property values we want. 2. And we call bark and 1 on feeder. Whenever we invoke a method on an object, JavaScript sets up this to point to the object itself. So here this point to feeder. And so when we refer to this name, we know the name is feeder. 3. So this always refers to the object the methods was invoked on, no matter how many docs we create to bark. You can call bark2 on any doc objects, and this will be assigned to the specific doc before your body code is executed. So, exercise code methods. Code magnets. A working movie constructor function was in a fridge, but some of the magnets fell on the floor. Can you help get it back together? Be careful, some extra magnets may have already been on the ground and might distract you. Use these magnets to complete the code. And solution of this exercise will be in the next lesson. Okay, test drive your constructor right off the factory floor. What is a window object anyway? We will talk about this in the next lesson. And here is our 20 free lesson about HTML and JavaScript is over. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel, please put likes, share with friends and comments. Don't forget, remember, meditate, do exercise every evening, read more books on the topics, drink more water for the brain, and eat nuts, bananas. That's all. Thank you. Bye.